Good evening and welcome, one and all. Good evening to episode 2 of DinamoTV, the official podcast of the St Albans Dinamo Football Club. How are you all? My name is Tonchi Prusats. It's an absolute pleasure to be with you here tonight for episode 2 of this new concept. Certainly a new concept for myself and for everyone that I'm involved with. It's a club podcast, and boy, wasn't last week's show an absolute winner? A winner on all accounts. From our records, over 6,500 views across our various platforms. And thank you to each and every one of you who tuned in to last week's show. And if you haven't tuned into last week's show and you're watching this podcast for the very, very first time, do go over to the St Albans Saints and DinamoTV YouTube channels. Subscribe and make sure you catch up on all the action from last week. And it was a great show. It certainly was. Once again, thank you to everyone who tuned in, who supported us. And this concept is really going to take off. All our attention now turns to tonight's show. And geez, we've got a big show lined up for you tonight. If you've been following our social media platforms, you will know that our guests tonight include senior women's coach Tom PONDELJAK, as well as the coach of the men's under-23 side, Adam TENNENINI, or Tuna, as he is better known. We've also got quite a fair few news articles as well, and we're going to get straight into some of those news articles. And it is time for the news desk. Last Sunday afternoon, an estimated 60,000 people descended upon Alfreda Street, right in the heart of St Albans, for the annual Lunar Chinese New Year festival, an event that has come to truly reflect the multicultural composition of our western suburbs. The Chinese New Year festival was filled with colour, noise and of course a wide array of delicious cuisines from all parts of Asia and indeed the world. Alfreda Street was once renowned as a true melting point of European cultures, and our own Croatian community and culture was heavily represented back in the 70s and 80s. Who can forget the days of the iconic Crystal Records, Slavonia Butchers, Shop and Shop Accountants, the Crow Travel Agency and Josipchuk's Real Estate Agency, as well as other Croatian-owned businesses over the years. Apart from the commercial element, Alfreda Street was also a well-known meeting point for the first generation of Croatians in Australia, providing a true home-away-from-home experience, at least in the social sense. Last Sunday, the Croatian culture and cuisine made a triumphant return to the popular shopping strip, courtesy of the very popular St Albans Dinamo Football Club's food stand. Manned by club members who are now second and third generation Australians, the stand proved immensely popular with the hungry crowd, and before too long, all the chavapi had sold out. Amongst those working hard to keep the many bellies of the festival attendees satisfied was Dinamo Club President Ilija Dragicic. This is what he had to say after last Sunday's event. Our first Lunar Festival brought a unique and wonderful engagement between our club and the St Albans community. It was an amazing turnout of over 60,000 and a fantastic group effort by the Dinamo committee to bring our Croatian chavapis to the wider St Albans community, said Club President Dragicic. We leave you with the sights and sounds of what was a truly wonderful Lunar Chinese New Year festival last Sunday in Alfreda Street, St Albans. The Dinamo senior men's team last weekend travelled to Bendigo for their annual pre-season weekend retreat, which serves as a team bonding exercise ahead of the upcoming NPL Victoria season. The weekend kicked off on Saturday with an early morning training session at the club, followed by a coach journey to Bendigo. Upon arrival at the Julie Anna Inn, the players enjoyed lunch and gathered for a conference. Club President Ilya Dragicevic, along with Vice President John Bilosh and Director of Football Michael Peet, addressed the players during the conference. The committee representatives emphasised the club's steadfast support for the team. The conference featured presentations from coaches and staff covering topics such as team goal setting and season objectives. After the conference, the players had free time and the pool became the designated meeting point fitting for the warm weather. The day concluded with dinner, where the tradition of new players standing up to sing to the group was thoroughly enjoyed by all. Following a night on the town, the team enjoyed a Sunday morning breakfast before heading back to Melbourne and having some fun on the bus. Welcome back to DinamoTV. It is our second episode, and it's a fantastic concept. I'm having an absolute ball bringing you each week all the latest news and views regarding our great club. But today it's time for our next guest, and we're going to be talking to the coach of the men's under-23s team, Adam TENNENINI, who's better known as Tuna. Tuna, welcome to DinamoTV. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the board, and what a lovely backdrop you've got there in the background.
Yeah, thanks, Tonchi. Pleasure to be here. Found this thanks to Anthony in the Facebook page. It's our banner there, so I thought I'd steal it for the night.
It's not stealing, it's borrowing, isn't it? But no, it's fantastic, mate. Let's get the ball rolling. You're the coach of the under-23s. Last year was the under-21s. Let's first of all talk about that, because you were involved with the 21s last year, and this year the reserve comp is known as the under-23s comp. Mate, in your eyes, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing that Football Victoria are going? And why was it changed to 23s?
Look, I think the reason for it, from what I've read, is that now aligns to all national competitions at that level. I don't see it as a massive change, Tonchi. If anything, I think my squad's got younger now from going from 21s to 23s. So the concept itself, I'm not sure whether it's beneficial. I guess we'll see as the season progresses. But if you had to ask me if it's changed anything, it definitely hasn't. And like I said, if anything, we've actually got younger in our average age than we were last season. So interesting concept, and we'll see how it progresses through the season.
Yeah, no, and I'm sure everyone will have their different views and opinions on that. But I guess it's good to know kind of a background as to the reasons for it. But look, I always say there's with every change there's an opportunity as well, and this provides a great opportunity for a lot of the young fellas. Let's talk about the squad. How is the squad coming along? And I think at the Crow Cup recently, you told me that five of last year's under-21s have been stepping up to the seniors. That's a great sign in itself. But let's talk about the squad that's slowly coming together for this season.
Yeah, I think look, if we strip it back to the start of last season, we had a lot of turnover. The squad, I think, finished in bottom position in 2022. So we sort of had to revolutionise the squad a little bit and freshen it up. So I think we retained one or two players from that previous season, and the rest of the squad was made up of my under-18s from that season, and also an injection of some new talent that we brought to the club. So it was a matter of working from the ground up in 2023, and the season could be viewed as a mini success. We just missed out on the finals. We finished 7th. But I think the most pleasing thing for me was the fact that we gave opportunity to, I think it was 10 under-18 players throughout the season, one under-16 player, and 5 of the under-21s boys either trained or got minutes in the senior squad. So, look, that was the most pleasing aspect for me coming out of when we reviewed it at the end of last season. Looking ahead, you're right. Those boys that I mentioned that did play senior football last season from the 21s are now on now been given an opportunity with the senior squad.
Can you name those guys? Let's give them a bit of a plug to, and you know, sort of a reward for doing so well. Can you name them off the top of your head? Here's a bit of a quiz.
Yeah, of course I can. There's Nick De Bono, Johnny Maglaris, Luka Jabrea, and Anton Bilic that are training with the squad full time at the moment. They've played for me for the main part in our friendlies, but they're training and part of that senior squad and senior setup, and I've certainly seen a difference in just their sharpness and their ability, their improvement in such a short space of time. You know, being part of that senior fold full time and training with the bigger boys certainly has its benefits, of course. And yeah, I've certainly seen that. Especially if I had to pick one out, I'd probably look at Jabray as the one that's come back fitter, a little bit stronger, but just his touch and his sharpness has certainly improved out of sight. So I'm expecting some big things from him this season. He was our best and fairest last season as well in the 21. So his trajectory from, you know, and I've known Luka for a long time. He's been at the club since he was a junior. I'm not sure if he was a mini Roo, but I certainly remember him in the under 12s, under 11s at the club. And yeah, I've seen him develop into a really good player. So he's certainly one to keep an eye on. But yeah, look, it's very pleasing for me just to see it, the progression of these boys. I always say that, you know, it's not about. And I hate losing Tonchi, don't get me wrong. Yeah. I'm a misery post game if we've lost the match and lost it in a certain way. But I think the most pleasing thing for me as a 23s coach now is not the wins and not the losses, but it's how many players we can progress and how many players we can pull up from the 18s and so on and so forth.
And we are a competitive unit. It's a competitive sport, and these days when people say it's all good about participation, this and that, but the reality is our club is at that position where we do need to chase results, but it is also on the flip side. It also is important to notice that development, because that's what we're all in it for. And hearing some of those kids' names, they're going to become household names in years to come. And we've got such a rich history of producing young talent. It's really good to see that there are more and more of those players now starting to come up through the ranks, and that's good. Let's talk about. We just saw footage of the game against the Melbourne Knights. Before we go into last night's game, there was a game played last night. But let's talk about that game. It was 4-3 to the Knights, I think it was. Now, looking at the result, is that one of those things you just weren't happy with? Or overall, things are starting to fall into place? Because it seemed to me like last night it did fall into place. But let's talk about the game against the Knights. What were your immediate thoughts about the game itself, putting the result aside, I suppose?
Yeah, so the Knights game was played, was it a week and a half ago now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've had 2 games since then. But look, the Knights game was one of those strange ones. We didn't play all too bad, but you're not going to win many games when you can see 4 goals. So, you know, we tried a few things. I mean, it was pretty early in the preseason in terms of where we are at this point. So we have certainly progressed since then in such a short space of time, being a week and a half. But we tried a few new things against the Knights. Didn't quite come off. We've worked on those over the last couple of weeks and sort of seeing it coming to fruition now a little bit. I mean, there's still a lot to work on, but yeah, it was a pretty good game. That for the neutral observer would have been great. That 4-3.
Yeah.
Went 3-2 up and then conceded a goal from the halfway line, and then conceded one with about a minute to go. So it's just one of those games that we didn't get the rub of the green in the end, but. There were some positives to take out of it, but there was a lot of things that came out of that game that we Berkey and I, so my assistant Berkey, have honed in on over the last week and a half or 2 weeks.
Yeah, now one of the positives that did come out of that game was a goal scored, a ripper goal by young Nicholas Murray. And no, I'm told it's not. He's not related to the famous Frogger Murray of NSL yesteryear, but do tell us a little bit about him, because he actually comes from out of town, from Shepparton, I believe. Yeah,
well, it's the first question I asked his dad, Ivan, when I first met him, was any relation to Frogger? He said, nah, mate. He hails from. So I haven't seen him since Tonchi. He's been with Guff since he scored that ripper, which is great for him. He's such a great lad. Really respectful, always a smile on his face. Just a pure country boy. So he hails from Shep. If you read up on him, he at 19 years of age, he won the top goal scorer, best and fairest, young player of the year. Took home a swag of trophies in last year's Shepparton Football League awards, if you want to call them that. I'm not exactly sure what the league's called, but through some scouting, we were able to get him to the club, and credit to Ryan McGuffey for getting him down. And just through his pre-season, you can just see he's such a quality player, but such a quality character as well, which is as important. Expecting great things from him. He was good when he came on last night against Werribee, made an impact. So at such a young age, he's very mature as a footballer. So he's definitely one to keep an eye on this season.
Let's talk about Werribee and the game last night at Churchill Reserve. A good win for the under-23s, 6-2. Alex Maglaris scoring a hat-trick. Jesse Chop, Jacob Di Fiore and Yanni Apostolakis scoring a goal. A real multicultural combination there, isn't it? We've got Greeks, we've got Croatians, we've got Italians, we've got a bit of everything. But great to see, good result against a team that's not going to be, Werribee City in now it's VPL 1, not NPL 2, but a team that's no doubt going to pose quite a few problems. They take on our sister club, North Geelong, in the opening round of their competition. But how did you see yesterday's game from a coach's perspective?
It was a funny one, Tonchi. I thought technically we were far superior to Werribee's 23s. And I walked away from that game, and Berkey and I both weren't happy at all, to be honest. Just with we were 3-0 up within 20 minutes. Alex Maglaris had a hat-trick within 20 minutes, which was great for him. He's coming off a quite lengthy injury, so he's starting to hit his straps again, which is great to see. Everyone contributed, but it was just one of those games where we thought we could do more. Just with if we had to drill down, there was just certain things during the first half, especially that just our movements and our movement of the ball and our execution wasn't great. Against a side that wasn't at our level, I felt technically. And it didn't get any better in the second half. I mean, we ended the game 6-2, and during the season, I think if you asked me this question, if it was during the season proper, I'd probably be a lot happier because the results are what counts as well when you're fighting for 3 points each week. But when we're working on certain things, trying to get ready for that season to start, and then not working, I think the results sort of irrelevant when we're playing a friendly. So we'll keep chipping away. There were some pros out of last night. Obviously, the result being one of them, but also getting minutes into some of the players that haven't of late. So it's just a matter of, and it is with every preseason, mate, just chipping away and making sure that we're as best prepared for round one as possible.
Speaking of round one, we're now getting ever so close to February the 10th and the big game against Port Melbourne Sharks away, a Saturday night blockbuster there at JL Murphy Reserve. But in the meantime, what awaits the under-23s now? What are the remaining games, practice matches? Have you got anything lined up over the next few weeks?
Yeah, so we'll train tomorrow morning. We've got a morning session on Australia Day with the senior group combined, and then we'll train 3 times next week. I think we've got Mickey Pizza lined up a scratch match against the under-18s on Monday night, and then we might have another one throughout the week against the seniors. And then we've got Western Suburbs next weekend in our final hit out before Port Melbourne.
Awesome. Well, it's really getting exciting. The new season fast approaching, and we've certainly looked forward to following the fortunes of the under-23s this year. But before we let you go, mate, tell us a bit about yourself. Let's get to know the coach as well. Tell us about your playing career and your coaching career thus far.
Yeah. How long we got, Tonchi?
Oh, mate, plenty of time.
No, look, I played in the state leagues throughout my whole career, namely at Brimbank, where I have a history there because my grandfather's a founding member. Then moved to Avondale for a really short time and ended up at a club called Essendon United, which was born out of a group of mates that were just sick of and tired of club politics. So it was a quite young committee of 20-year-olds back then, and I ended up staying there for 13 seasons, I think, by the end, and ended up finishing up after finishing playing seniors at about 35. I played the last few years as a reserves player coach just to start my coaching. Did my C license and B license and all that sort of stuff, and ended up at Dinamo in 2020, just pre-COVID, so that first COVID year. And I've been at the club ever since, mate. Under 18s, just before taking the 21s, and now the 23s. And yeah, look, I'm really enjoying my time at Dinamo. I mean, I guess from a non-Croatian background, I must say that I really respect and appreciate the closeness and community that the Croatian people have. I mean, we've only got the Adriatic support separating us, right? So
Yeah,
I feel pretty.
right.
I feel pretty close, but you know, but in saying that, as close as the Croatian community is, they're certainly open to people from the outside as well. So I think that's really important. A lot of hard work goes into what we do at Dinamo. You know, you see people running around constantly trying to get things done. It's a pretty well-run operation, I think. I mean, there's improvement everywhere, right? And the club's always striving to improve. And I think since Ilya's come on and with Mickey Pete and great support to me is also Jason Sherry in the senior part of things. But I'm really enjoying it. Long may it continue, because it's a really good club to be at, and when it's thriving and when there's success on the park, having been an observer from the outside when, during those NPL 2 championships and all that sort of stuff, the buzz around the place is unbelievable. So, hearing Marko talk last week about Tawny is, I can just imagine what it's going to be like coming around that time. So that's something for the club to look forward to as well.
Absolutely. And speaking of last week's episode, folks, if you haven't seen the first episode, go to our St Albans Saints and DinamoTV YouTube channels, and you can catch up on everything that you missed in the inaugural episode. And in the inaugural episode, we had our football ops manager, Jason Zeri, who also is not of Croatian background, of proud Maltese background, and he's been at the club for 10 years. So, mate, you're staying put for at least another 7 years. You're not going anywhere.
No, if they'll put up with me, mate, it's a question for Mickey Pete when you get him on, whether they'll put up with me. And look,
I'll be too scared to get Mickey Pete on the show. We might have to extend the program to a 2-hour show if we get him on the. But cheerio.
And look, it's been the other thing too, Tonchi, I wanted to touch on is that from a senior perspective, having Guff and Donners at the club and Berkey and I. It's been really good in terms of the connection between the seniors and the 23s, which I think is really important. It's not just because I'm 23s coach saying that there's got to be a connection between the seniors, but you don't see it at a lot of clubs. So we're forever talking on our WhatsApp and bantering in our change room, and we're very connected. And I think Jason's just a linchpin. As much as he's the brunt of most of our jokes. He's being serious for a minute. He's very important to what we do. And then you got Mickey Pete as the director of football as well, who's overseeing everything. So it's quite good to have that relationship with people that you work with, because I think that's really important as we move forward.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Thank you very much for joining us on DinamoTV. We look forward to having you on a regular basis, or certainly showcasing the young talent that we have got at the club throughout the season. Good luck for the rest of the pre-season, and certainly for that big round 1 clash against Port Melbourne Sharks in a couple of weeks' time.
Thanks, Tonchi. Pleasure to be here. Yes, and whenever you want me on, mate, happy to jump on. And it would be remiss of me not to finish with Miss More Dinamo.
Exactly, the hashtag. Yeah. All right, mate. You take care. All the very best. Adam Tennenini, Tuna, as he's known around the club, a very, very popular man indeed. Folks, when we return, we're going to be speaking to all the focus now shifts to the girls, to the women's, the senior women's, that is, and we'll be speaking to the head coach of the senior women's team, Tom PONDELJAK, after this very, very short break. But in the meantime, it's all there. If you haven't already, go over to DinamoTV and subscribe on our YouTube channel. We've also got a St Albans Saints YouTube channel, which we've now just resuscitated after several years of being in activity. So a lot going at the club as far as on the field, off the field, in our social media department as well. There's an entire team behind the scenes working on that. So hopefully you can really, really appreciate what is going on down here at Churchill Reserve. But we're going to be taking a short break. And as I said, when we return, we'll be speaking to Tom PONDELJAK, the coach of the women's team. Don't go away. Welcome back to DinamoTV. It is episode 2 of the official podcast of the St Albans Dinamo Football Club. And we just heard there from Adam TENNENINI, Tuna, as he's referred to down at Churchill Reserve, the men's under-23s coach. And now it's time to turn our focus now to the women, the senior women who just last night resumed training for the 2024 season. And it's an absolute pleasure to now bring onto the screen the head coach of the senior women's team, someone very well known at the club, Tom PONDELJAK. Tom, good evening and welcome to DinamoTV. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Buds. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolute pleasure, mate. Last night was the first training session, I guess. The pre-season started. How was it? How did it all go down?
Yeah, not too bad. Obviously, girls, came in last night after a bit of a break over Christmas, New Year. Most of the girls were there. Had a couple that were still a bit absent for various reasons, but looking hopefully to get them back on board next week. Last night's training was quite generic, nothing fancy. Just get the girls back in, get them ticking over, get their minds back on football, and I think they had a good session. First one out of the way, and just start to knuckle down for pretty tough pre-season.
Yeah, look, there's a long way to go. I mean, the season won't start until March, so there's plenty of time there. But what's going to be your main focus, you think, for the pre-season? Are you going to try and organise as many friendlies and practice matches, or is it more of a case of just working on the basic fundamentals? As senior women's coach, where's your head at with regards to that?
Yeah, look, last year, obviously, when I took the job on with the girls during the first pre-season, I didn't go too hard on them. Sort of just wanted to just bet them in slowly. I wasn't sure at what levels they were doing pre-seasons and whatnot, so I kind of didn't want to scare any girls off. So I think that worked to a certain degree. But look, there's always room for improvement all over the park. You sit down, you evaluate. So we sort of sat down as a coaching group and said we still think the girls have got a bit in the tank in regards to fitness, and I think we're going to try and push them basically to their limits. Nothing ultra crazy, but just to see what they're capable of, and we strongly believe that they've got a lot more to offer in that department.
Let's talk about your coaching team. Who you got backing you up, and who you got supporting you there in the dressing room?
Yeah, look, got Andrew Russo, aka Shaka, and Ilya Rados, two fantastic guys, well-credentialed footballers themselves. Brought them on board last year. We wanted to make sure the girls in the past sort of always were a little bit of a hit and a miss with coaches. So we just wanted to settle in and get them settled in and just give them some real direction. And I thought, well, 2 assistants are obviously better than 1. So I brought the 2 boys in, and they've been fantastic. The girls have responded to them really well. Those boys will be back on board this year again. And like I said, hopefully we just want to build on from what we did last year.
Yeah, so if speaking on last year's performance, let's have a look at the final standings. So We were in State League 2 in the Northwest Division, finished in a very respectable 4th position, I guess, in a 10-team competition. Avondale, Ballarat City and Fawkner finishing ahead of us last year. Tell us, mate, I mean, like the results sort of speak quite positively, I guess, in the overall scheme of things. But how did you see season 2023, and what were some of the highlights, I guess, and maybe even some of the lowlights of last year?
Yeah, look, obviously the girls done fantastic last year in comparison to the previous season, where they I think they finished 3rd last. Like I said, I think that a big bearing around that was the fact that they never had a stable coach in place, and it made it really tough for them. But look, they yeah, like I said, they finished 3rd last, and I kind of set out to say that anywhere mid-table was sort of our target. Anything above that was a great achievement. But at one stage, we'll sit in 2nd for quite a number of weeks. We're pushing Avondale quite hard, but ultimately Avondale, the players they had on board, they probably weren't meant to be playing in State 2. They pretty much had a State 1 side, which was fine. But yeah, we did our own thing week to week. We had a great start to the year. Probably halfway through, we started to stumble a little bit, losing a few players through injury. Got a few players in from the outside, so you kind of, you're trying to get that balance right, and always trying to gel new players into a squad. It's always quite difficult. But we held on. We done really well. We finished the season off quite strong, I believe, and ultimately, yeah, we finished 4th, which I think was a great achievement by the girls.
Well, if we have a look just at the goal scorers, it was really shared around the bulk of the goal scoring. Sienna Delia scored 8 goals, Christina Vulic 7, Jana Cholina 6, and then Emily Grgic also had 5 goals as well. That seems to be kind of like the basis of your attack. Are they pretty much staying together this year?
Yeah, look, we definitely did have multiple goal scorers last year, which is fantastic to have in any side, not just solely relying on 1 or 2 players to try and get all your goals. So, yeah, the fact that we had multiple goal scorers at quite good numbers was awesome to see. But yeah, look, obviously, a handful of those girls are staying on for this year. A couple there obviously won't be putting the boots on for this coming season.
Oh, that's a shame. Which ones are they?
Yeah, look, a lot of our experienced players.
Yeah.
Emily Grgic, who was our captain last year, sort of said and decided that she wasn't going to put the boots on for this year, which is fine. I mean, it's everyone's got their own thing. She felt like she probably done as much as she possibly could, and to her credit, she had a tremendous year. She was absolutely awesome last year, one of our best by far. And obviously Christina as well. I mean, Christina Bulic, I mean, she gave birth at the start of the year and came back into training after a couple of months, and the season that she had was unbelievable. She done really well, and obviously, Eva Grgic now as well. She sort of said that she was going to hang the boots up as well, but might still have a small opportunity with her to try and get her back. And yeah, look, obviously we had Natalie Grgic as well. She was our team manager last year. She was a great conduit between the coaching staff and the girls, especially on match day, which was awesome. And she wanted to get back into it. She came back in the last couple of weeks to train and played in the last game. And unfortunately, she ended up rupturing her Achilles, which was really sad to see. So yeah, we just wanted to wish her all the best. And also Amelia Bulic. I called upon her halfway through the year and just asked her to help us out because our keeper had broken a finger, and then by the time she recovered, she went overseas for about 5-6 weeks. So we had a big gap. We had a couple of girls, put the gloves on in between the sticks. Lana Movric was fantastic, and while doing that, she actually broke a bone in her finger as well. So she had a bit of a hit and miss season as well, which was unfortunate. But Amelia came on board. She was so happy to help. and she's done a fantastic job for us. You know, just to fill that hole in for the rest of the year. And I just want to say, like, on behalf of myself and obviously Shaka and Ilya, we just really appreciate what the girls did, especially the girls that are retiring, what they've done for the club and for the women's team at Dinamo. They've been there since they were kids, and yeah, like I said, it's going to be difficult to replace that sort of quality and talent. But look,
Yeah.
we'll do our best to do so. We'll give it a crack, and hopefully we can come close to trying to replicate something like that.
Mate, well, you've just reeled off a whole host of names and real famous names at the club, and it's great to see a lot of the ladies getting involved. And look, I guess this year we've got the tournament, obviously something to looking forward to that we're going to be hosting. We've got DinamoTV as well. We've got a platform now to really publicise a lot of the games for the senior women's and the senior men's, obviously. Hopefully that might see over the next few weeks an avalanche of returning and new players wanting to pull on the boots, and that would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, look,
you never know.
We'll definitely have the girls signed up, just in case they want to put the boots on come the end of the year for the tourney. But yeah, I mean, the doors. I've always said to the girls that the door's always open if they ever decide that they want to come back in and just even to train with the squad. I just think that their quality and experience is so valuable to the team, especially with the younger girls in the squad. They really look up to them, and like I said, they'll be sorely missed. But yeah, like I said, the door's always open for them to ever decide to want to come back in and have a bit of training or want to play in a couple of games. So leave that door wide open for them if they do decide to want to come back. But yeah, hopefully it's going to be a good year for us, and we can really cap it off like we did last year with the winning the tournament over there in Adelaide, which was a fantastic result for the girls.
Yeah, and look, speaking of the competition, obviously it's hard to say because I guess Football Victoria is still trying to sift through the various divisions and the makeup of the competitions. But and the women's competition has been restructured a fair bit in recent years, which has allowed a lot of the clubs to go up and jump a couple of divisions and what you're not. Has there been any talk of where we'll be playing this year? Will we still be staying in State 2, or have we been asked to move up to State 1 or anything like that?
Look, as far as I'm aware, we haven't been asked. We look like we're going to be staying in State 2 for the moment. As soon as you get promoted into State 1, you have to have a reserves team.
Yeah.
So that might make things a little bit difficult if we were to have to do that. But in saying that, we're quite comfortable where we are.
Yep.
I think another year in State 2 where we are will do us a world of good, and hopefully, like I said, we can continue to build for what we created from last year, and hopefully get bigger and stronger, possibly for possible promotion. I mean, we never rule it out. So we'll just we'll see how we go. We'll play week by week, and we'll just give it the best opportunity we possibly can.
Yeah, speaking long-term, speaking promotion, I guess, and all of those things, as you said, we do need a reserves team if we're going to go State 1 or higher. How's the situation at the moment with the younger girls, so the juniors and the ones coming up through the ranks? How's that structured, and is there at the moment a little bit of a gap between the juniors and the seniors, or is that coming along with a lot of the younger players in the squad? How we are looking overall going forward?
Yeah, look, I think from what I know, our junior girls, we've got a fair few teams there, which is awesome. They're getting involved, but we do have a bit of a gap between our senior women and our next junior girls. They'll be on the 15s this coming season. Mm-hmm. And I did ask Stan Kvesic, who's going to be the coach of the 15s girls, just before Christmas with our sort of last training session before our break. And I asked him if he didn't mind bringing in about 3 or 4 of his girls just to mix it in with our senior women, just to give them a bit of a taste of senior football, just so they can see what it's about. And the girls, they came in. There was 4 of them, and they're absolutely awesome. And I really think they enjoyed the experience. And And I said to Stan, I'll be probably looking to do that quite a few times this year, just bringing in maybe one or two of the girls from the 15s and just give them a bit of a taste, just more so sort of a training and just to give them a feel for senior football. And I think that's just a massive benefit for the girls. Yeah, I think it'll elevate them mentally and put them in a good frame of mind. And like I said, just to give them an opportunity, just to see what it's all about.
Mate, what I'm hearing, and I'm sure everyone else that's listening to this show is hearing, is that there are real great opportunities at Dinamo for young girls, whether they're, looking at playing eventually NPLW or VPLW or something like that and moving to the next level, or if they're just wanting to play socially. We really cater for all elements at the moment, and there's ample room for growth and ample opportunities for them to be able to get into women's football at all levels. Yeah,
definitely. Like I said, we're always open to bringing girls in to have a look at them. Like I said, I think we've been quite blessed with a lot of our junior girls have come through and played and are playing still in our senior women's team, which is fantastic. I don't think there are many clubs out there that can boast about that, but we're one club that can. And like I said, we've had a bit of a history there where we were brought in through our young girls have come through, homebred, so to speak, and come through and played in our senior women's team. So, like you said, Tonch, there's opportunities there for girls. Yeah. We're always looking. I'm always here to give any girl an opportunity. Ultimately, if they're good enough and I think there's potential there, I'll definitely stick with them and want to work with them and try and promote them the best way possible. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, mate. That really, really is great to hear. Let's talk about yourself, actually. Like you've played at the highest level in this country, so you know what it takes to get to the top. Tell us a little bit about. Well, we obviously know your playing career, but how did you now get into coaching after you've stopped playing at A-League level? How did you? Was that something you always wanted to do, or was it just something you stumbled by mistake?
Yeah, look. Obviously, when you're playing and you're a player, you're not really thinking about coaching at any sort of level. I mean, some players probably do, but that was the last thing on my mind. I always got asked, do you plan on coaching in the future and whatever? And I honestly never really had any interest. But I always said if I was to come back and apply myself into a coaching role, it'd probably be more at junior level with kids. Just to try and give them an opportunity and a side that we as kids never really had, just in regards to experienced coaches and whatnot. So I felt like if I was going to do anything to give back something to the sport that gave me so much, I always said I'll come back, and I did. I came back to Dinamo and started coaching the under 12s boys there, which was, 6 years ago now or 7 years ago, whatever it was. Went through with them for a number of years. Obviously then COVID hit and just threw everything out of whack. Came out after that. Wasn't interested in coaching really too much. I kind of lost it a little bit there in regards to having the will to want to coach.
Yeah.
And then I've always kept an eye on our senior women over the years. And I always thought that they had a lot of potential. But I just felt like they never really showed that, or I didn't really see any coach really get the best out of the girls that were there. And I felt like I could possibly maybe do something, like to try and change things around. And just got asked, would I be possibly interested? And a bit of influence from some of the girls. They were wanting me to coach them as well, which was great to see as well. And I said, you know what, I'll give it a go, give it a crack, and I'll see what it's all about. Never coached girls before, and I'll see how it all pans out. And like I've said to the girls, going through this whole year with the coaching gig, of probably one of the best coaching experiences that I've had as a coach. I really enjoyed it. Girls are awesome. They're so receptive. They listen.
Yeah,
they take on board.
I've heard that many times.
Honestly, they do. They listen to literally every. Sometimes they take something a bit too literal, but on the grander scale, they listen. They take everything on board and they try and execute everything you tell them, which makes your life, my life so much easier in a coaching aspect. So it's been fantastic. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yep.
and that's why I jumped on board again this year, and we'll give it another go.
Well, mate, it augurs well for a very, very enjoyable, exciting, and above all, hopefully, a successful 2024 season. So, wishing you and the girls all the very best. But look, as the season draws closer, and once the season actually kicks off, we will be featuring the senior women's and the junior girls quite a lot on DinamoTV. So, thank you very much for joining us on DinamoTV, the second episode.
No worries. Thanks, Tonchi. Much appreciated, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Good on you. Thank you, mate. Well, that brings us now to the end of our second episode of DinamoTV. But before we do go, do you have a small business and you'd want your brand to get out to the entire Dinamo family? Well, here's an idea. Why not advertise your business on our all-new DinamoTV podcast platform? If you'd like more information or you are interested in advertising on DinamoTV, send the club an email. It's right down the bottom, stalbanssaints@gmail.com. That's stalbanssaints@gmail.com. Folks, thank you very much for being a part of this week's show. We really, really appreciated it. Next week, we will be focusing on the NPL boys juniors ahead of their season starting, well, Sunday week. It's all getting closer and closer to the start of the 2024 season. Do share this. Pass the news around that DinamoTV is here and DinamoTV is here to stay. Folks, good night. Thank you very much. And remember, #Mismo Dinamo. Good night.